All right, Black Box Radio. We have Kevin Seymore today. It's 4/22/20. Say hi to the people.
Hi to the people. How y'all doing?
Listen, tell the people what you do professionally, then we're going to unpack how that's been affected.
All right. Well, I am a campaign operative. I actually am a campaign manager for one of the campaigns for mayor in the city of Baltimore. And
Who's
yeah,
campaigning?
actually the Sheila Dixon. Baltimore legend, one of the best mayors that Baltimore's ever had, a beautiful person, a beautiful leader, an all around inspiration. I could go on and on about my boss, but most of you all know her. But I'm just glad to be able to experience working with her. She's amazing.
Beautiful. Okay, so of course we're in COVID-19 and you're a campaign manager. And they have not said we're not voting, and that does not end. In a pandemic, they are having, we're going to vote for this mayor, for the next mayor of Baltimore City. They did move back the primary from April, and now it's June 2nd. Am I clear? And so this is a different type of campaigning because it's you cannot actually access people like you would usually do. You can't have these big rallies. You can't do the things so you have to be very creative. So how has it affect you guys in this process of Ms. Dixon becoming mayor?
Well, I first want to say that with a campaign, your goal should be to affect the people that you're trying to win the votes of. So it's not about voting. It's not about being able to meet people. It's about affecting change. So if you only know one way to affect change, then you need to stop what you're doing. So it was a little bit of a transition from our original strategy, but we have been able to, number one, focus on making sure everyone is healthy, and that we're asking people simple questions like, how are you doing? Leading with empathy, because that's going to be what sustains us throughout all of this. So that should be the focus of our campaign. So as a leader, it was important for me to, as we transition strategies, to make sure that that was at the bedrock of everything that we did. So we have been able to kind of shift our strategy, still be able to affect that change that we spoke about, and effectively make contact with voters that is meaningful, that is transformative, and that will affect the future of Baltimore.
Okay. And as a campaign manager, and the process of voting changes also. And what is your decision on, like, everything will be mail-in? Do you think that hampers the vote, or is that something that you guys are concerned about because it's something new? Well, it's not new. Mail-in voting is there, but I mean to be all, not actually go out and vote. Everybody has to mail in their ballot. How do you feel about that?
It is new to the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland in a lot of ways. But our focus is making sure that everybody has the access to be able to vote. Because when you add steps and when you add barriers and when you add a lot of confusion, it could lead to people being apathetic. So we want to make sure that access is the foundation of everything that we do. Everybody understands the process, making sure that, they have the tools necessary to be able to cast their vote. Because it's an important election, not just for the mayor, but for a number of things, whether it's city council president, your council candidate, the president. So it's not just about us, it's about democracy as a whole and making sure that it's healthy and safe for us to vote, as well as us promoting a healthy and safe democracy.
That's true. That's true. So, I've heard candidates say they're kind of concerned about the mail-in. And so I was wondering,
I mean, yeah, it's uncharted territory, but like I said, we have to be creative and we have to, I get that mail-in votes will affect, everything that we have going on, and it'll affect the strategy, but it is the new reality that we have to face.
That's true.
So because of that, we have to adjust. And like I said, your overall goal shouldn't change. It's just your method. So that's what we were making sure that we did to just make sure that we still had some of the things we set out to do in the city of Baltimore are still those same things. But mail-in ain't gonna stop nothing.
Ain't gonna stop the process.
It sure isn't.
I mean, because the mail-in voting is not new to voting; it's just new to be the only way that you vote. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I think Oregon as a state has been mail-in voting for like 20 years. You know, but they've been doing it over and over. I mean, this is new for most states.
Exactly. And with
Mhm.
the newness comes like a learning curve
Sure.
for both campaigns and for people. So, education and making sure the state puts resources into educating people on how this process will go. The congressional district 7 race is going to be very telling about, you know, what people think of the mail-in, how they're able to go about that process. So we will be watching that very closely just to make sure that, people understand what the process is all about.
Mm. Yep. I'm tired. COVID-19 has changed I mean, I don't know.
Overnight, it changed
Overnight, I don't
everything
know if
overnight.
anything we're doing the same, but
Yeah.
sleeping in our own bed. I don't know. I try to find out the same stuff I've been doing like 2-3 months ago, brother Kevin,
Hmm.
and it's nothing. It's almost like I have a whole new life, and I didn't even know what's happening. I'm serious. Even everything we do. I worked out today in a mask and gloves in the
Yep.
park. I mean, everything it's just amazing. But that's where we are, and we have to adjust. Life is about adjustments.
Yeah.
Um, and we're continually to adjust. And here we go again. We're into it. It's almost like we're in a virtual society. We're moving towards all virtual.
Yeah, I mean, it can be cool in a lot of ways. I think that a lot of different ideas are being birthed out
Mm.
of a time like this. A lot of like digital things, cool digital things are popping up. So I think that the goal isn't to go back to normal anyway. So I'm waiting to see where this process takes us. But of course, there's a lot of devastation and tragedy that goes along with what's going on as well. So we would be remiss if we didn't talk about like, yeah, there's a lot of change in the everyday lives, but there's also a lot of like trauma and tragedy associated with this time. So, like I said, the goal isn't to go back to normal. The goal is to kind of figure out what it is we need to purge and what the lesson is that we need to learn out of all of this.
Well, you said one thing because there's a lot of people protesting to go back to normal, bruh.
Well, they can have it. I want to be safe, and I want to make sure
It's a
everybody
lot
else
of
is safe.
protesters out here talking about normal, normal, normal. So I was just wondering, like, because a lot of people said there's no more normal, but these folks are fighting to come out the house right now.
Yeah,
So
no.
I
Um,
don't think that's smart. What do you think about that around the country? The uprising.
um, I think uh, politicians should be responsible. I
Mm.
think that there is a lot of responsibility associated with governing, and people are relying on you to actually make rules to keep them safe, make rules to keep order, make rules to kind of present a society that works for them. So people who are not cognizant of what that means for everybody and only focused on maybe the economics or what it would look like to have people go back to work for the health of the economy. I think that we should prioritize humanity over everything. So I my personal politics aren't really what I'm on here to talk about, but I think that responsibility is an incredible thing that people put upon politicians and people like myself who are campaign operatives and political operatives to make smart decisions in order to present a better world to them. So that's what I
That's
think
true.
about that.
You're right because leadership has a lot to do with what we're seeing. If we had correct messaging, we had a federal government that was responsive, and some of these, it's a lack of a great word. These dumbass governors. I hate to say it.
Right.
If we've had real leadership and people who really cared about people more than the dollars. Because this economic mantra that I keep hearing has economics is nothing if people don't move the money. I hate to tell you. You can
Yeah,
talk economics all day long, but if there are no people to drive the engine, there's no economy.
exactly, exactly,
So you can open every store you want, but if everybody's dead, who's gonna buy? It
exactly.
makes no sense. I mean, I just don't know what they're thinking. So, I
Yeah,
mean, you can want to be this forward thinker all you want, but biology will walk you down. Let's be
and
clear.
science,
Science
not
will walk you.
believing in
Oh
science.
my God, biology
Yeah,
and science will walk you down every
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And that's where we are now. We have these people who are using their gut, and gut has nothing to do. These guys are like Trump talk about his gut and how they feel, but feelings have nothing to do with what's actually happening and what
The
science.
feelings he should be worried about are the feelings of the people that he is governing, and how they
Absolutely.
feel when their loved ones get sick, how they feel when they have mental health issues that are exacerbated by the trauma that this is causing. He should be worried about those feelings.
Yep. And you're right, not his own personal feelings,
Exactly.
because he's a servant of the people, but that's not his movement. And it's definitely, we can see that's not his movement. But anyway, so let's talk about you personally, because we see what you do, and you guys have definitely changed your campaigning strategy. You're very active in Baltimore City, and that's a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
So, how's your headspace? Because we hear that accent. Uh, Not from Baltimore, and that's fine. But how is your headspace and your family? I mean, how are you dealing with that and not being an actual Baltimorean and being away from your actual family?
Well, my family is in Tennessee,
Okay,
so that's about what 12 hours, 13 hours away, depends on who's driving.
sure.
Um, and personally, when I'm doing what I'm doing now, you have to remain focused. So I'm on a very strict focus regimen to where, I limit the TV that I watch, I limit the radio that I listen to, just because I want to make sure that I'm actually in the moment and being of best service to my candidate and to the campaign and to the people of Baltimore.
Hmm.
So that has, there's been some restructuring around mentally how I'm able to cope with like actually living through a tragedy like this.
Hmm.
Um, so it's like people will say, because it sounds good, I want to be optimistic, I want to look on the bright side, but there is a lot of tragedy and like uncertainty associated with this time. And so you have to let yourself feel that. You have to let yourself actually grasp the reality of everything that's going on, making sure that you're actually clinging to what it is that is going to keep you safe during
Hmm.
a time like this. So it's been a very personal journey for me. I think spending time alone, if you know yourself, it is a better time because I can say probably maybe 7 to 8 years ago, this
Hmm.
time would have been very different for me. To
Hmm.
where you know I personally know what I need to do to make myself feel better. I personally know when I need to go out and take a walk. I personally know um, when I'm able to kind of deal with stress, when I need to do something else to deal with stress. So that has been helpful, having that personal journey. And
Okay.
then I'm thinking about the Stevie Wonder song, Love is in Need of Love Today. So that is on his Songs in the Key of Life album. And I came across it um, the other day, just listening to music while I'm doing my work.
Hmm.
And it just made me think of this time. If you think of the lyrics, love is in need of love today. Um, we always kind of look at love as that thing that's always there, that thing we have to like seek out, we have to find, but it's like it's this entity that exists on its own, and we don't really have to pour into it. Um, but I look at that as what the earth is in this situation. It's like, what does it mean to just stop and give, reverence to some of the things that we take for granted, like breathing, like
Mm.
actually interacting with our friends, actually interacting with our families. What if that was like, what if there was an actual extra step that we needed to do in order to engage in those things? What if we needed to pour in something in order to get that out of life? So I'm choosing to look at it that way because, some of the things that I took for granted, like even though my mom lives 16 hours away, 12 hours away, I could always, call her and kind of trust that she's okay. But now I actually have to, you know, brace myself. And my mom is over 50, so I have to like, your mom, did you go anywhere today? Did you do anything? Did you check on grandma? How is dad doing? Like all of those things are important anyway, but they're heightened now because of what's going on, but they should be on that level at all times. So that's what I'm looking at and kind of reevaluating my relationships, reevaluating how I took for granted being able to go to my favorite restaurant or just call my friends, go out to eat, those types of things. So that's how I'm choosing to look at it.
That's a way to look at it because my mother lives in South Carolina. And I told her, when you get up in the morning, you call me, even before you talk to Jesus. You call
Right.
me.
Because I
And
need to know.
because I need to hear that voice. So if I got to send somebody, you know what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah.
I send somebody over there or we got to get you somewhere, you call
Yeah.
me. And we used to talk maybe 2, 3 times, 4 times a week, but it's every day.
Yeah.
And I need to hear her voice. And sometimes I call her twice a day because I just want to make sure my mother's 80. And I
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure, I mean, she's very active. She's doing very well, but I want to always hear that voice. And so I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily because I'm afraid she's going to get sick or anything like that. It's just
Mhm.
because I've taken that for granted. And it's
Me
so
too.
many people that don't have that opportunity anymore because of
Yes,
what's going on. And it's like, you're not going to catch me not being appreciative for the things that I love in my life. So, yeah, this definitely woke me up in that aspect.
and even people losing their parents, and this is a lonely time. I can tell you a story. I mean, people are losing their parents and with to this virus, and it's lonely. They can't visit them. Funerals are effective because you can only have a certain amount of people. It's just we have it's changed a lot, and it's just something that I'm so glad we're able to talk about and be able to kind of digest this sometimes together because it's baffling in a lot of
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
It's always good to have other people around so you can kind of talk about it. I mean, because your head sometimes can come after you. Like you can't go nowhere. You got to watch what you eat, watch where you walk. You got to watch who you visit. You can't touch anybody. It's a lot.
I think that's the frustrating piece about it. It's just like, how you can feel like when there's an ant on you
Yeah,
and you
human
feel ants like crawling all over you, but it's really not. It's like when I'm touching something without a glove or, I feel like, oh my God, I gotta go wash my hands. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. So that's the kind of thing that is kind of like, okay, I'm ready for this to be over because I just want to like touch something without actually having to not freak out about it. So
Absolutely. You just want to be able to walk in the room with your
yeah,
regular
like
face, your regular clothes, and say hi and hug somebody.
right, exactly.
Because human connection has changed.
Yeah,
My family member came in today and we couldn't hug. I couldn't do anything. I could just only we touch feet. I
I
mean,
don't. I
it's
wouldn't even do that.
it's crazy, but we just kick feet. I mean, you
Yeah,
can't. People don't even want to touch elbows. It's
yeah,
serious out here.
yeah.
So, but I mean, that's the climate we're in, and it won't be forever. But this is definitely a living and humbling experience for humans. If you live in this experience, if you don't change, something doesn't change in you. You a hard rock. I'm
I
telling
agree. I agree. You
you.
have to.
You
Something
have
has
to.
to change in you
You
in
are
order to survive. Yeah,
yes, you are a rock of Gibraltar.
yeah,
So if you cannot change after COVID-19, it is a game changer for
yeah.
sure. For sure. So we're in a part of the interview where we do the last will and testament, and we definitely want to hear a jewel from you. Leave something inspirational for the people, please. Lay it down.
Something inspirational for the people.
Yes, leave that jewel.
Um, well, I think that one of my life principles is to just be a visionary.
Mm,
Just go, just go forth with the idea, whether there's a path laid or whether there's not. Um, there's a quote that I kind of built my vision of being a visionary around, and that is from Henry Ford. Now, I wasn't there. I don't know if he really said it, but I choose to believe that he said it. Um, if I had asked them what they wanted, they would have said faster horses.
Mm.
So Henry Ford is the inventor of the automobile, and he just kind of pulled something out of thin air to kind of shape the rest of the world for generations to come. And I think that there's that power within everybody. When you find your thing, just go forth, be a visionary, break down those doors, clear those paths for the people that need to come behind you. Always have your North Star. Figure out what that North Star is. For me, mine is Shirley Chisholm.
Mm.
And I will tell anybody, my actual, my internet at my house is named Shirley Chisholm.
Mm.
So if you come over my house, that's my internet, that's my Wi-Fi.
Mm.
So I try to incorporate kind of the things that I learned from studying her into all of the things that I do, because she was a visionary. And I want to make sure that the work that I'm doing leaves a legacy. The work that I'm doing is innovative, and kind of disrupting the status quo and taking a new approach. Not because you just want to be different, but because it's necessary, and because you want to make sure that the path for the people that come behind you is a little bit easier than what you had.
Mm. Awesome. Awesome. G.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for those wonderful insights, that wonderful word of inspiration, as well as your perspective on all the different ways that this event is affecting us, both personally in our relationships and in globally in the way that we pick leadership for our cities and our country. So I really appreciate you taking the time to share your perspective with us.
Well, I appreciate you all asking me to do this. Really appreciate that.
So if you're listening right now and you would like to hear more voices from the Rona Report, you can find them all at blackboxradio.com. That's BLAKBOXXRADIO.com. You can also find Black Box Radio on Instagram and Facebook at Black Box, and on Twitter at Box Black. So make sure that if you are hearing this conversation that you're sharing it with your friends and family, because when we put this on the platforms out there, it gets suppressed. So we need the help of the community to help get these voices out into the world so they can be heard.
Yes, sir. Well, this is the Rona Report, and we had Kevin Seymore. Kevin, thank you for your perspective. As G said, we really appreciate it. Amazing.
Thank you for having me. And I want to just encourage everybody to vote in the upcoming election. Learn more about our campaign at DixonForBaltimore.com, on all of the Facebook or social media platforms. Sheila Dixon for Baltimore, Sheila Dixon Bot on Twitter. So I really appreciate this opportunity.
Listen, this is the Rona Report. It is 4/22/20. You're with Black Box Radio, and we're out. Peace.